Nobody believed it was possible. A boy who once slept on a concrete floor, earned less than $5 a day, and washed dishes in a movie theater just to survive, one day said no to $1 billion offer from one of the biggest corporations in the world. Not because he was already rich, but because he refused to betray the people who believed in him first. This is not a fairy tale. This is not luck. This is the impossible true story of a poor boy who became a billionaire, and it all started with hunger. Most people think billionaires are born with advantages, rich parents, connections, and a perfect head start, but this story destroys that belief completely. Because this boy didn't start with money, education, or even hope. He started with nothing, and yet he built one of the biggest snack empires in the world from scratch. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why where you start doesn't matter nearly as much as how you respond to pain. This story begins in a forgotten, rural town in the southern United States, where farming wasn't a business, it was survival. The boy's name was Caleb Warren. He was born into a poor farming family, working the land every day and praying the next season would be better than the last. But year after year, drought destroyed their crops, no rain, no harvest, no income, until one day Caleb's father made the most painful decision of his life. He sold the only thing they owned, their land. That moment changed everything. With no farm left and no future in that town, Caleb's father gathered his sons and said, "You can't survive here anymore. You must leave and find a way to live." At just 12 years old, Caleb was sent away from home with no safety net, no plan, and no guarantee. They moved to a crowded city miles away, sharing a tiny room with no beds, no privacy, and no comfort, sometimes eating just once a day, and every morning waking up with the same question: what can we do today just to survive? Their first attempt at business failed quickly. They tried selling basic farm tools, no customers, no profit, no mercy. But failure didn't kill them and hunger didn't break them, instead it trained them. Eventually, Caleb found a job at a local movie theater, not as a manager or staff, but as a canteen boy. He cleaned floors, carried supplies, served snacks, and endured being shouted at by customers who didn't even know his name, earning barely enough to eat. But what made Caleb different was that he watched everything. What people bought, what ran out first, and what made customers complain. While others saw a job, Caleb saw a classroom. Then one day something unusual happened. The theater's snack supplier failed to deliver potato chips. Customers were angry, sales dropped, and the manager was furious. Everyone saw it as a disaster except Caleb, who asked a simple question that would change his life. Why don't we make it ourselves? People laughed, because he was poor, uneducated, and just a canteen boy. But Caleb didn't see impossibility. He saw opportunity. That night he went home and made a dangerous decision, a risky decision, a decision that could either ruin him or change his life forever. With almost no money, no experience, and no guarantee, Caleb decided to start making potato chips from his backyard. Caleb's first attempt was a disaster. The oil was too hot, the potatoes burned, and the taste was awful. He threw the batch away and tried again, and again, and again. Night after night he failed, cutting potatoes by hand, guessing measurements, and learning through pure trial and error. There were no YouTube tutorials, no mentors, and no second chances because every mistake meant losing money he didn't have. But slowly something changed. One batch tasted better. Then another stayed crisp longer. Then customers at the theater started asking for more. Within weeks, the homemade chips were selling out faster than the factory-made ones. That's when Caleb realized this wasn't just survival anymore. This was a real opportunity. In 1982, with a tiny savings and help from his brothers, he began producing chips in their small backyard, working before sunrise and after midnight. They packaged the chips by hand, delivered them themselves, and listened carefully to every complaint and every compliment. Customers loved the taste because it felt real, not mass-produced, not artificial. By 1984, Caleb knew it was time to stop thinking small, that he needed a name, a brand, something people could trust. He named the company after a symbol of strength and protection he saw every day near the theater. A name that felt powerful and familiar. That's when the brand was born. The next challenge was distribution. Shop owners didn't trust a poor young man with no reputation. So Caleb did something no one else wanted to do. He bypassed the big stores and went straight to remote towns and villages, places other companies ignored. He drove long distances, knocked on doors, and personally stocked shelves. That strategy worked because demand exploded. By 1989, orders were overwhelming, and Caleb faced another terrifying decision. He took out a massive loan and built a real production plant, the largest snack facility in the region. When machines broke and engineers didn't show up, Caleb and his brothers learned to fix them themselves. They didn't wait for solutions, they became the solution. That year, the company officially became a registered corporation with the brothers as partners, not bosses, each playing to their strengths. As success grew, so did attention. Big corporations came knocking. One global giant offered to buy the company for an amount that would have made Caleb instantly rich. But he said no. Not because the money wasn't tempting, but because he believed the taste, the people, and the customers mattered more. He chose growth over greed, service over shortcuts, and quality over control. That decision changed everything. Today the company runs multiple factories, exports internationally, and dominates its market while still operating like it did on day one, focused on farmers, workers, and customers, not shareholders alone. The business remains family-led, with the next generation stepping in, still guided by the same principles that started it all. Work like it matters. Solve problems instead of fearing them. Act before you feel ready. Stay obsessed with quality. And remember that real success comes from serving people well, not selling to them. Practical applications. Start where you are and use what you have. Small beginnings can produce massive outcomes. Failure is not a signal to quit, but a classroom to learn from. Opportunities often hide inside everyday problems. Build trust before chasing scale. Focus on service and excellence, and growth will follow. Years later, Caleb stood in a factory larger than anything he had ever imagined as a child. Machines humming, workers moving with purpose, and trucks lining up to carry his products across the country and beyond. What started in a dusty backyard had become a billion-dollar empire. But the most shocking part was not the money. It was that Caleb never changed. He still walked the factory floor, still tasted batches himself, and still asked customers what could be better. The same boy who once slept on concrete now owned multiple factories, exports to other countries, and employed thousands. Yet he lived by the same rules that saved him from poverty. He believed work was worship and no task was beneath him. When problems came, he didn't panic. He paused and searched for solutions. He never waited for perfect conditions. He jumped in and adjusted along the way. He stayed obsessively focused on quality while competitors chased shortcuts. And instead of pushing products onto people, he built something so good that demand pulled it naturally. This mindset protected the company when markets shifted and competitors collapsed. It also explained why he once turned down an offer that would have made headlines overnight, because to Caleb, success wasn't about cashing out, it was about building something that lasted. Today his company stands as one of the most powerful players in its industry, not because it was the fastest or the flashiest, but because it never forgot the people at the bottom: farmers, workers, distributors, and customers. This is why Caleb's story matters. Because it proves that poverty does not decide your future, your decisions do. You don't need permission to start. You don't need perfect knowledge to move. You don't need luck to win. You need discipline, focus, and the courage to act when everything tells you to wait. If a hungry boy with nothing but curiosity and grit could build a billion-dollar empire from scratch, then the only real question left is this: what are you going to do with what's already in your hands? Practical applications. Stop waiting for ideal conditions and start with what you have. Treat small work with excellence because it trains you for bigger responsibility. When problems appear, look for opportunity inside them. Commit to quality so deeply that customers become your marketers. Build for people, not applause, and long-term success will follow.